Hello beautiful souls and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me today as I have a really exciting and slightly different video for you today for Black History Month. We are going to be celebrating Black joy, Black excellence and Black magic. So let's get started. So when I thought about the video I wanted to do for Black History Month, I felt like I really wanted to do something a little bit different and something that was uplifting and joyful, because Black joy is part of, if not the most important part of Black history in my opinion, and is something that we have often left out or forgotten about in history, especially in schools. So I just wanted to share some books I have read in the last year to 18 months that have brought me a lot of joy to read, or don't really cry very often, but I definitely have found that some of these books have really got to me. So this is not going to be a book review because these Black authors do not need my validation or my approval or my opinion. They are already incredibly successful and very talented, accomplished women in their own rights. It's more me wanting to share the joy that I received from reading these books with you because they were just amazing. And I haven't read fiction books in so long because I've spent so long reading self-help books and lots of like really deep, intense books. And it was so nice actually to read fiction again and to just be completely captivated by these amazing authors. So I really wanted to share that with you, and I feel like books are a really important part of history if you think of how influential and inspirational so many books can be, and even books that you read when you're young can have such a strong impact on the rest of your life. And you think of sometimes the books that you are forced to read in English at school. I definitely think we need more of a variety when it comes to those as well. So I just want to share these because for me these books are just amazing, and I just feel, when I feel passionately about something, I just want to share it with you guys because I love being able to share something that's brought me joy or healing or growth or something with you guys, because I just think, why not? That's the whole point of abundance, right? Being generous, sharing, paying things forth. So let's just get started by diving into the books. I think we have 6 books we're looking through today. Hang on, 2, 4, yeah. We have 6 books we're looking through today, so I'm really excited. So let's just dive into them. Okay, so the first 2 books are by the same author actually. So we have What Time to Be Alone and How to Get Over a Boy by Chidera Eguru. And I'm going to start by talking about this one. And this is actually the first one I bought of Chidera's books. I followed her for years on Instagram. I think she's amazing. She's so like grounded and embodied and powerful. And I just think she shares her truth so impactfully. You know, she's like a real catalyst, I feel, for change in society. I think she's amazing. So I was really excited when I got my hands on these books, and there is a bit of a story behind that, in that I've wanted to buy these for ages, and I like to support local bookshops rather than buy from big online companies if I can. And so therefore I hadn't found these in any of the bookshops where I'd lived, and then it came to my attention that there was some controversy and some mistreatment towards Chidera from her publishers and a few other people. Let's just dial it down to that. You can of course do your own research into that. So I really wanted to support her, and so I went and bought these. I actually was able to, I think I ordered this one in maybe, or I got the last one in the bookshop, and then this one was also the last one in another bookshop a few streets away from this one. So actually, yeah, it just showed a complete lack of supporting her as an author, and it was actually really hard to get hold of these books. And I actually found with this one it was a signed copy, and I was like, why is that still on the shelf? That's so cool that she signed it, and I've now got that. So yeah, it was a huge, I think it was a big scandal personally, but we're not going to talk about that today because we're focusing on the joy. So I just want to talk about how amazing these books are. And this one, I think I read this one first and I loved it. I feel as though this is kind of like, it's almost like a life coaching guide, but better. And there's loads of beautiful quotes and beautiful illustrations. I mean, even just the artwork inside is just stunning. And I believe Chidera was basically like totally instrumental in creating the design of the book and the layout and everything. I mean, I'll do some close-ups for you guys. So this one is basically like life advice. It's encouragement and it's empowerment, and I just honestly think everybody should read it. I think there's some proverbs and things that Chidera shares, and she's so wise. Like honestly, when I was reading this I was thinking, oh my god, like how is she that wise? She's so young. Like I'm not even that wise. I think I'm a little bit older than her. I'm not actually sure how old she is. I think she's in her mid to late 20s, but I'm like, oh my god, this woman knows her stuff so much, and she just has a really articulate and interesting way to explain things that you're like, oh yeah, I hadn't really thought of that before. And I just feel like she's the kind of person you would want to be friends with, because she's just really, I think, truth-telling, and is very much like, why are you putting up with that? This is what you're worth. So if you want to improve your self-worth, your self-esteem, your self-love, if you are looking to really empower yourself, this is 100% the book for you, and I definitely recommend getting this book. So that brings us to our second book, How to Get Over a Boy. And as I said, this one is signed. I'm so excited by that. You can just see it there. Love it. And this one I read second, and I really did enjoy this one. I think I liked the other one just a tiny bit more, and that's only because the other one is more general life advice, whereas obviously this is more focused on romantic relationships and partnerships. And again, there's this really strong theme of empowerment coming from Jadera. Like, she's not going to put up with anybody's, you know what, like, she's going to put her foot down and stand up for herself. And I feel like so many of us could take a leaf out of her book and recognize that we can do that. Quite literally take a leaf out of her book. But I really feel as though she's just really inspiring and really empowering and really catalytic. So this is great if you are about to end a relationship, have ended a relationship, or maybe a relationship ended a while ago and you're just really struggling to find closure, or to overcome it, or to let it go, or to release it for whatever reason, then this book is definitely going to be for you. I think it's fantastic. Obviously I can only speak from a white cisgender heterosexual point of view, but I feel as though it's really applicable to relationships, and definitely worth going to get this and have a good read. This is like the perfect summer book. I definitely read this one while sunbathing in the garden, and it was so good, loved it. So the second book I wanted to share with you is Bernardine Evaristo's Girl, Woman, Other. I'm sure you will have heard of this book. It's just so brilliant, and as you can see, it was shortlisted for Women's Prize for Fiction in 2020, and it was so worth it. I don't know if it won, but if it didn't, it really should have, because it was so good. I don't read a lot of fiction, and I definitely don't often read like romances or relationships and stuff. I usually read quite like hardcore stuff when I read. This genre of books is quite different for me, so it's really interesting. So I feel like this was such an amazing introduction. It kind of weaves the tale of different people and how they're all interconnected, and I just loved it from start to finish. It was excellent. You can tell she's just a really accomplished and brilliant writer, quite honestly. Like, she knows her stuff. She just captivates you. Like, from the start I was captivated. You know, sometimes you read a book or you watch a film and you think to yourself, not sure about this, and then you get into it and you're like, oh, okay, no, this is good. And then other times you read a book and literally from the first sentence you're like absolutely hooked. That's what this book is like. It's brilliant. She just, I mean, this is the one that brought so many tears to my eyes and just brought emotions up for me. And as I said, like, I'm not really somebody who gets emotional or cries at, you know, films or books very often anyway, unless it's that time of the month. This was really, really good. I really loved this, and I really liked how she told these different points of view and these different experiences of life, but then brought them all together at the end. Like, it was just so clever. I loved it. So 100% I recommend this. Definitely read this if you're looking for a good book. The next book we're talking about is Loving Colour, Mythical Tales from Around the World Retold by Bolu Babalola. I really hope I'm saying that correctly. And this is probably my favourite book from all of the books I'm sharing with you today. I mean, they're all really good, but this one stood out for me because I almost just feel like it's the book I should have been able to read as a child, if I'm honest with you. So it is Mythical Tales Retold, and wow, does she do an amazing job. I think this is her debut novel. So this is her debut anthology, and honestly, it's amazing. I can't wait to read more books by her. I just feel like, again, she's just so captivating as a reader. Basically, each chapter is a short story from a mythical tale retold, and they are so good. They were a couple that I was like, that should be turned into a film immediately. I would watch that. In fact, which one was my favorite? Hang on. There was one that I just read it and I was like, this is great. If it was this one, hang on. I should have put a bookmark in it to remind myself which one it was that this one, which is page 111. Angel numbers. Sia. Honestly, it's so good. If that one isn't turned into a film, then filmmakers are totally missing the point here. She just has such a great way of explaining things, and just like the way she talks about relationships, you feel like you're there witnessing it, experiencing it, or seeing it. It's so clever. So yeah, I 100% recommend this book. Definitely will reread it. Not really somebody who rereads books, but rereads? That sounds silly. I'm not somebody who rereads books though, because I've got such good memory. Usually once I've read a book, I'm like, yeah, I remember all the details, it's great. But I would probably read this one again, and I would definitely read this one to my kids, if I have kids, when they're a bit older, because it's so good. Like, loved it. Loved it, loved it. She's amazing. So the next book that we are talking about is The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. I've actually just finished this a couple of days ago, and it's why I'm slightly later releasing this than I wanted to be, because I'm just not as fast as I used to be at reading. So I just finished this one. I bought it ages ago actually, and I've only just got around to reading it because I'm trying so hard at the moment to actually finish a book that I've started before reading the next one, because I am one of those people who buys like 8 books at a time and then starts all 8 of them and then doesn't finish them all because she's like still starting new ones. So I'm really trying to be strict with myself and be like, finish a book at a time. So I've just finished this one. I did really enjoy it, but I would say it took me a minute to warm up to it. The first kind of 50 to 100 pages for me dragged a little bit, and then after that, that's when you get into the story, and that's when I feel like her writing comes alive and you just really get to see who she is as a writer and live into the beautiful story that's coming up. So this book centers around twins who run away from home, and then they both go on their separate path and they don't see each other for about 30 years. And it kind of tells the story of their lives and their children's lives and how things are sort of interconnected but not. It was really excellently told from those 50 to 100 pages onwards. Like, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was really good, and yeah, I would definitely read more of her books. I feel like that cover's really scratched. Why is it so scratched? That's annoying. And I feel as though as well she explored some really interesting relationships in this. I mean, honestly, it's really fascinating, and the cover, I feel, reflects the story so well. Like, when you read it, you're like, oh yeah, I can see what they've done there. So yeah, I would really recommend this one, but just stick with it. Like, you know, as I say, it takes a minute to warm up, and then when you get into it, you're just like, whoa, this is really good. So yeah, love this. And then finally, we're going to talk about this book, Queenie by Candace Carty-Williams. Again, loved this book. I actually read this book in less than 24 hours, which, as I said, I'm quite a slow reader at the moment, so that's quite a big feat for me. I basically was like, everything's going on hold, not going to do anything, just going to read this, eat and sleep. And it was amazing. It was so good. Like, I would absolutely say that Candice is really good at like drawing you into the character immediately, and you almost feel like you're friends with the character and you're like sitting there and they're telling you this story. It's so good. You can also see that this one was longlisted. I don't know what the difference between longlisted and shortlisted is. Is longlisted like the top 10 and then shortlisted is the top 5? I'm not sure about that. But either way, definitely another amazing book. I keep looking out for more books by her. All of these authors, I'm like, where are their next books that I can buy? And I think I've got another Bernardine Evaristo on my Audible to listen to, but definitely I want to read another one of her books because she's so good. Like, honestly, it's funny, it's interesting, and it just really follows this one person as she navigates her way through romantic relationships. And I don't want to give too much away, but it's definitely worth reading because it is really well written. And I mean, all of these authors are amazing, as I say, in their own right. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I just felt, if you're looking for like a light read, maybe like a holiday read, or if you're looking for something just to cheer you up, or maybe like on your own for the weekend, this is the book for you. It's so worth it. I think I started reading this in the hairdressers because I love when you have like a long hairdressing appointment and you can just like go and read a good book, and this was absolutely a book that I kept reading. Sometimes I'll take a book and I'm like, oh no, I'm not really enjoying this, or I need a break for 5 minutes. This one I was like, can't get enough. When he was processing my bleach, I was like, leave it. I want to read this before you wash it off. So yeah, really recommend this. It's so good. So let me know if you've read any of these books, or if you have already bought them and you're about to start reading them, because I'd love to hear what you think of them, how you enjoyed them, what emotions they brought up for you, or resonance they had for you. And if you have any recommendations for any of these authors or any other authors, please let me know, because I always love a good book recommendation. I hope that you've enjoyed watching this video, and I will see you in next week's video. There's my neighbour revving his bike.